everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks for April 18th. It's episode 14 already. How's it going, Andrea?
Pretty good. How about yourself, John?
Good. It's a bright,
Good.
sunny day.
That's right. Finally warming back up after our freak blizzard for Easter.
Yep. It's gotta always get one more jab in there.
That's
The winter
right. And it's
does.
always got to follow like a beautiful, 60-degree day that you're like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe this time it's
Mhm.
finally spring. And
Get your
then it
hopes
gets
up.
you. Yep.
hmm
Classic Minnesota.
hmm Yep. Well, I won't. We won't wait so long this time. What are you drinking today?
Well, tomorrow, which is also happens to be my mother's birthday,
Oh, happy
is
birthday!
thanks. I will pass that along. So many April birthdays.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so tomorrow is National Amaretto Day, so I have an amaretto sour here going on.
Nice. Sounds
Normally
good.
you're supposed to have a cherry in it, but we didn't get to the grocery store, so I've got a lemon.
Okay.
So hopefully that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah,
How
well,
about
we'll take it for
yourself?
what
What are you
it is.
drinking?
Well, quickly about birthdays too. Our
Mm.
producer Alan's birthday, I think, was Thursday then, 15th. 15th, I
Happy
think it
birthday,
was.
Ellen.
So, um, anyways, yeah, I've actually got 16th. Okay, this is Thursday though.
Yep.
Um, I've got literally just pop on the rocks today. So
What?
yeah, I know.
You're taking your name very literally.
I know. Well, I mean, it's like I don't know. It's this new Dr. Pepper and cream soda.
Oh,
Yeah,
how was that?
it's good. It's very good.
Okay. All right.
But I don't know, being the afternoon, and I'll probably have something to drink tonight and go for a walk after this and stuff. So
Sure.
I don't need to get too liquored up yet. Did I bring that up on a show already? Maybe I did, or maybe it was a pre-show. I can't remember how Conan O'Brien tweeted or something. He's like, I think
No.
we should readjust the definition of alcoholic or alcohol
No.
during
He
this
didn't bring
during this
this up.
thing.
So what is his adjusted
Well, just
definition?
like I think that was about it. Just like maybe we should be more lenient on what we consider alcoholic during this time.
I agree. I mean, there's not a whole lot else to do.
Yeah,
So, and it's not like you can't just get it delivered to your door just like food. So,
that's right.
yeah.
Yep. hmm Well, speaking of drinking and all sorts of sinful type behavior, I see you put something about Tiger King.
That's
Ooh.
right. That's right. So Tiger King, obviously the Netflix phenomena, has released a new episode just last Sunday, weirdly on Easter Sunday, for such a, like you said, a kind of show about murder, mayhem, and other madness and other
Yep.
sins. But it was sort of a reunion style episode where Joel Hale called a bunch of the people who appeared on the show and just sort of like got their thoughts about, had they watched the show? How did they see themselves? Did they feel that they were accurately portrayed?
Mm,
Um, so it was an interesting, type of reaction to the show. And then everybody got to say, as kind of like a fun little thing, because they're sort of thinking about making either Tiger King into an actual produced show with actors, or they're talking about a movie. So everybody got to pick who they thought would play them. So
how chafed is that producer guy that
pretty.
filmed so much? I mean, he's got to
Yeah.
be, oh, we're gonna make this into a Hollywood movie, or
Right.
we're gonna do
Right.
whatever with it. And I spent years or whatever it was filming everything this strange guy did to
Yeah.
see it all like disappear and
And then yeah, somebody else now gets
yeah,
to put it
yeah,
out there. Yeah,
yeah,
I think he's sort of torn between being, upset about all of this and then sort of just like I'm totally past it. Like this is
sure,
rear view. Because I mean, if you get to obviously the point in the show where you find out that, so much footage was lost,
hmm
he just totally puts it all behind him. He's like, "Okay, wipe the slate clean, like I'm totally done." And the reunion show does catch up to him at I think a better point in his life.
okay,
So
that's good. That's good to hear.
he is kind of for me one of the few like truly sympathetic characters in
Yes.
in the show. So
Yep.
I mean, some of it he kind of puts himself there, but he does it, you know, with this idea that, he's gonna make money and, he doesn't go into it, I think, with any ill intention,
Right.
so.
I haven't been following it on social media or anything like that, but has anyone else pointed out that Carol Baskins sounds like Hillary Clinton's sister?
Oh,
She sounds
that's a very specific
remarkably
reference.
well. She
I don't know
sounds
that I know what Hillary Clinton's sister
well.
sounds
I
like.
don't know. I don't know her sisters. I'm just saying it could easily be
Oh,
her
oh, I see.
blood
Okay, okay.
It could be her, but it's not exactly. So,
Yeah,
uh, if you haven't noticed it, I implore you to listen to her talk again and
okay,
be like, "That's," or like close your eyes. I don't know. It sticks with me every time I see her. It's like that's
okay.
Hillary Clinton's voice, like
Interesting.
intonation, just nuts.
Sure, yeah, I'll take a
Anyways,
listen.
side note. So in other madness and insanity,
Yeah.
um,
I I think it's a pretty natural, transition to talk, slide from Tiger King and the reunion, which felt to me, having watched Real Housewives, very much like a different sort of reunion. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it was
yeah,
it
that's
was
right.
the
You brought that up.
style. It's the
Mhm.
style of Housewives reunions, except, like I said, with the characters of this show.
It was
Um,
Andy Cohen.
yeah. Well, Joel McHale was doing his best.
Yeah, that's funny. Well,
So,
yeah. So New Housewives of New York has just started a couple weeks ago,
right.
and you said you were watching some of that now, actually, huh?
Yeah, for the first time I've watched The Real Housewives of New York, cuz Beverly Hills is my
Hmm.
mainstay. But I branched out a little bit cuz I was curious to see what else is out there in the world of housewives. Um yeah, so I watched the first couple episodes. I haven't finished episode 3 yet, but
Okay.
working on it. So, it's interesting. Having almost no reference for some of the people who appear on there.
Hmm.
I liked the addition of Tinsley's friend Leah. I think she's pretty
Yes,
interesting.
she is
So,
so far much needed.
yes, I
Like
agree.
injection of youth and like
Yeah. These ladies
I'm
be old.
yeah, well, and the whole thing about tattoos in there. It's
Right,
just like, can
right,
you guys get out of your upper northeast 1% bubble for like a
right.
minute here and just cool about the tattoos? Because
Yeah, I felt Leah's frustration that they kept going back to that, and they're like, "Normally, I would never talk to a person with tattoos," and I was
yeah,
like, "Oh, for
that's
God's
just a
sake. You probably
shitty thing to
have and you
say,
don't
right?
know it."
Yeah. Oh yeah, all the time.
So,
Yep. Well, that's what they one of I think she brought that up too, in this last episode. She's like, "Oh yeah, if you find out this dude you're going home with has a tattoo, you're
mhm.
gonna just walk away, right?"
Yeah.
Mhm. Better.
Yeah, I think she's, like you said, she's much needed injection of youth, and I think just, like, levity because everybody's starting the season very high right now.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
there's not even, like, a ramp up into some drama. It's just everybody's
Right.
emotional right now.
I don't know. I mean, so not having followed it before, Dorinda is interesting. She has had this longtime boyfriend, John, and
Mhm.
she seems to show him so little respect. Like she's sitting
Yeah.
there, like I have no one. He doesn't understand. Like I just their relationship is really odd. And if
Yeah.
I was him, I think I would just end it because uh she's just not showing any kind like she thinks very highly of him in any manner.
Mhm.
So
I agree. She kind of is starting the season very like, I don't care about anybody and
yeah.
not showing anybody really any niceness or regard right now. And I don't know if that's like her usual MO, but it seemed a little intense to
It's big
start right off the bat.
yeah. It's been getting worse and it started
Yeah.
bad this time. So she's always been one that she could snap, but
Mhm. But it just seems a little uncalled for.
yep.
Like I know she's got some problems with Tinsley, like she's saying, like, I don't feel like you're telling us the whole picture and you're not like revealing your full self. But then she just like goes off on her. She's like, "Oh, you're a whore." And it's like that doesn't even tie in with what you seem to be upset about. Like, I'm not sure
Yeah.
where this like sudden snap is coming from.
She's
So
just unhappy.
she
That's really
she
what it
is, but
is.
she needs to like sort that out
Yeah. She
because
had her
it's
first
too much.
marriage that she was happy in and everything, and then he
Sure.
died, and so ever it's like she just can't get that back.
Yeah.
you know? So,
Yeah.
well, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say understand and I feel sympathy for that, but I think she needs to sort some stuff out because right now it's just like lashing out, and
Yep.
as a viewer, it's a little too much right now.
Yep. Well, and then you were saying your mainstay show,
That's
Beverly Hills, has
right.
just begun as well.
It's
Premiere
back.
was the other week or this week, whatever it was.
Yeah, this
Um,
Wednesday.
I
Yeah, what
what
are
do you
your first
think?
thoughts?
Oh well, I just put in the notes that Garcelle is nice and Sutton is terrible,
I
and
agree.
um, Sutton is. I'm hoping she's just like trying to, I don't know, she's trying to prove herself or something right now.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm on camera. I'm going to make sure that everybody knows how
Sure,
rich and sophisticated I am.
sure.
Um, and then she'll watch it back and she'll be like, "Oh, that really didn't pay off. That really came across as super ugly."
Yeah. I was a little surprised I think by the premiere in the sense that it also felt a little high energy and a little mean. Like everybody felt a little bit mean almost at some point.
Sure.
And I was just kind of like, "Oh, whoa, first episode, like everybody needs to, take
Hmm.
a chill." Um Garcelle, I didn't think fit into that category. I thought she was really lovely and, just coming
Yep.
in and being like, "Okay, I'm just gonna." She was very like Denise last season, just like, "I'm gonna sit for a minute and just figure you ladies out."
Yep.
So,
Yep.
um, I didn't think Erica was being all that mean. She actually felt like really helpful this episode and just kind of, with Denise trying to figure out her legal issues. And then
Hmm.
taking the girls to like that go-go dancing bar was hilarious.
Yeah, that
Um
guy came up to him. That was funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun little like blast from the past. But I felt like you said Sutton was just like awful. She was
Yep.
mean about everything. She had catty comments for everybody.
Yep.
But then like Rinna was kind of mean about her too. When they were in that like Dolce like sort of private kind of wardrobe.
She was mean about Sutton.
Yeah, when she was like, "Oh, honey, when you're rich, it doesn't even matter what kind of figure you have." And I was like, "Whoa!"
Oh.
Like,
Well,
ah,
if she wasn't a good friend, she would have just told her that what she was wearing was complete trash. I was
it
terrible.
was.
I
It
don't
looked
care how
awful.
expensive it is. That was really gross.
I agree. And like I think you just need to say things like that, but the fact that she like said it behind your back was just like, "Ooh, yuck."
Sure.
Like that's a little harsh.
Hey,
Um
yeah.
so yeah, so I wasn't really like loving that. And I also felt Kyle was a little rude about her fashion show. Um I thought it was a
Mm,
cool thing that she was doing. But when she was like going in at the last minute and trying to fix everything, and then at the last minute was like to her show manager was like, "Hey, now my daughters are going to be in here
yep.
and I don't care what you think." It's like having been on the other side of that and having been a stage manager, like the insertion of two extra people at the last minute for something,
Yeah.
like 15 minutes before you have a planned out show, that's kind of a bitch move.
Yep.
So
And
I just
you
like
wouldn't
wasn't
know.
feeling that.
You wouldn't know in advance to say that your daughter's
Right.
going to be there in your show.
Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, I sort of agreed with Dorit that like Kyle should have had all this shit figured out a long time ago, and Dorit's presence was like very much needed in there to fix some of that stuff.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. Like I said, it just felt a little just like what is everybody doing? Like when Kyle was on the phone and just being like, "I'm gonna blow up and I'm gonna do
Mhm.
this to my stage manager," and I was kind of like, not a good look, honey."
Well, it definitely is that different approach, where, you know, she has a partner in her
Mhm.
business. It's both their names on the thing. So
Right.
Dorit's kind of surprised when she doesn't know all of her
Yeah.
pieces of clothing, which, I agree it's true or whatever, but I like how Dorit's so hands on with her stuff. Like it
Yeah.
feels like she designed and okayed or whatever everything, and I guess she has less things than Kyle, but still.
Yeah, I mean, she's clearly just a little bit more hands-on in the professional side.
Yep.
And it was, I think, pretty clear that this was Kyle's first foray into anything, and she
Yep.
wasn't she was not, aware of what she was doing, I think. So,
By the
turned out
way,
well, though.
news for everyone that cares. If you happen to live in a place where they will let you go to the beach someday, then you can get swimsuits from Dorit's place on sale. I think still going on
Oh,
because
wow,
the
okay.
season just premiered.
Sure.
So Beverly Beach, you can men and women's. Well, I should say it the other way, women's and men. Like if you're
Yeah.
not expecting it there, but so yeah.
Do you own some Beverly Beach?
I really want to, but I'm going to when I feel physically fit enough to wear it.
Okay.
So that may be never.
Well,
Um,
you could always, do what your wife did. She bought the swimsuit first, and now she's feeling like she's working to get in shape for it,
I know.
so
Yep. I
could be your
bought a different
inspiration.
I bought a different suit, a completely ridiculous one to do that with, and it
Okay.
hasn't helped enough yet so far. Yep. She's more motivated than I. But well, any other thoughts other than oh my god, the preview for the next I mean for
Yeah,
what's upcoming, it
for
just
the
looks intense.
season. It
Yeah.
does. I was kind of glad about it because I remember seeing that scandal, Denise's whole scandal break a while ago,
Mhm.
in the news, and I totally forgot about it.
Okay.
When the show was premiering and everybody was like all upset and like it was all related to Denise, I was like, man, I can't even think of what they would be upset about. And then when they actually flashed, like, the sort of preview of, oh my God, she's having an affair with Brandy Glanville. I was like,
Mhm.
right, I do remember this. This popped up. So, I mean, I don't
So
remember details, but I
how
remember hearing
do you
it.
think it's true? Do you think it's true?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't at least I don't think it's the way that it's portrayed.
I'm worried that I'm going to dislike everyone on this show
Yeah,
this season. That's what I'm
yeah.
worried about. That they're going to trash Denise and run her through the mud,
Mhm.
and I'm going to dislike all of them,
Yeah.
and that would be sad. So because they get in this again, it's they get in these groups now. Like it's not like groups plural. It's the
A
group
group.
and then one other.
Yes.
And I
Yeah,
don't like it.
the preview made it seem very like Denise versus everyone.
Hmm.
So I'm not super thrilled about that, but hopefully, take going through the actual episodes will be a little bit more nuanced.
Yep. Well, I don't know if you had a chance to think about it, but I had thought of this because after the premiere or whatever, I watched. I think it was that episode I watched to watch what happens live, and I was just thinking, man, if I was on a show, I would like to. If I was on Watch What Happens Live, I would want to be on there with Dorit probably as my
Oh.
number one pick. Who would be your number one that you'd want to sit next to,
You mean
and who?
from the Housewives or like
Yes,
any guest ever?
from the Housewives.
Okay. I would probably wanna be on there, I think with Denise, actually.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I don't know about, like, post this season because this season seems a little bit intense, but
Yeah.
pre all of this drama, I feel like she's just, like, fun and chill. She's, been around the Hollywood block, so it's not like she'd be nervous on a talk show or whatever, and she's just,
Hmm.
like, a whole lot of fun,
Yep.
and she just says what's on her mind, so, I feel like we'd have a good laugh.
I, it's tough. I might actually choose one of the Dallas Housewives. I don't know.
Okay.
Stephanie is really just a good person. It seems like so she'd be fun.
Sure. I can tell
Um.
you who I would not wanna be on
Okay.
Watch What
Yeah.
Happens Live with. I would not wanna be on there with Brandi Glanville. I've never liked her at
Okay.
all, and
Yeah.
now I like her even less now that she's, like, at the center of all of this
Yep.
drama. So, yeah, I would
I'd
never
probably
wanna be
pick
on there with her.
Nene. I wouldn't even know what to do with
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah. That'd be a
Just
lot. She is a
yeah,
lot.
she's a lot. Yep. So okay, well that's our housewives for the week. Um it's gonna be more to come. It's all kinds of crazy drama coming up.
Very true.
So so speaking of drama, one of the most dramatic people I know, um, spilled the drama in his life. His name is Phil. We're gonna get Phil on the show here. Um welcome Phil. He's on the call. We're gonna switch to him here in a second, hopefully.
Yes. You can tell us more about his dramatic life.
There you go.
He's
All right.
shaking his
Now you
head.
can unmute yourself.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Yep.
I'm
Hey,
not
Phil.
real sure about the drama, but okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, you got
So
2 very dramatic little girls, so
that is
I
true.
feel like I can't help but
Yes,
rub off on you.
Yep.
For sure. Yes. A lot of drama in the household for sure.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, happy to be on now. This is exciting.
great. We had Phil on to talk about Castlevania coming up in a little bit, but we spared him having to be part of the Housewives conversation. And we figure we get his input on the rest of the news for the week.
Sure.
Um,
There
Phil, are you a
were
big?
several times I would have jumped in though and made a snarky comment, but I was like,
Ooh.
oh, never mind. So even though I didn't know
What
particularly what you guys were talking about,
what do you got the snark for?
oh, like what would I have jumped in on? Like an example?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have said something right away when you were talking about the swimsuit line, like, "Eh, is that like a podcast sponsor or something? Kevin? What's going on here?" Something like
I wish. I
little bits and
wish.
pieces like that.
You know, if that can happen, Dorit, if you're listening, I'm sure you are.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
definitely sure she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number one
Oh,
priority on a Saturday.
I was also struck by just the interesting names of these Real Housewives. They're just
Mm.
Yeah.
super bougie. Like,
Yeah, let's
I don't
see.
know if you guys can hear as you're saying it, but like, what are we like Sutton and or some of the other
Garcelle.
ones?
Dorit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
those are all just like
There's a lot of more normal
effectively
names
ridiculous.
too,
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Tinsley. Yeah.
You know,
Tinsley's not that
yeah,
normal, but like
yeah.
Leah is.
Not. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's a couple Kyles and
Lisa's.
yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Like say Stephanie, Brandy, um yeah. But yeah, it's true.
All right.
When you think about it, like it's like Nene, Candy, uh um who else?
I thought
Kenya.
I thought one of the most interesting names actually comes from Leah's daughter, whose name is Kier.
Here.
And I was
How's
like,
that
I'm not
spelled?
I wouldn't have known actually, except it was tattooed on her wrist that I saw in the
Oh.
last
Oh.
episode. Speaking of her tattoos, it's just Kier.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Kier. Yeah.
Sounds like
I was like, okay, well
Scandinavian
that's
or
different.
something.
Yeah.
That is
She calls
different.
her Kiki. And I was
Hmm.
like, well, you could have just called her Kiki then, but
Totally.
That's
Kier it
definitely like
is.
yeah, like you say a go-go name or something, or
Hmm.
Yeah.
though
Something a
Kier
little
works
different.
better. Kier sounds
Yeah.
Nordic or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nordic. Yeah. That's it.
medicinal.
Let's go with Nordic.
Okay. Well, Phil, have you read Dune, or are you excited for the Dune movie? Because a bunch of pictures were released
That's.
for that.
I saw that. I saw that those just came out. And funny story, I literally bought the original Dune novel several years ago,
Okay.
intending to read it, and then it sat on my bookshelf. And I just recently saw it again to grab some books to start, and then I realized they're coming out with a movie
Mm-hmm.
like later this year, like Christmas time. I think it's coming out, maybe something like that. So that's exciting. But no, I haven't actually read it before.
Okay.
Well, perfect timing. You can get it in before the
Yeah,
movie comes out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's my
I
plan.
must
I
confess,
figure I can get the whole series in before the movie comes out.
oh yeah, you could. You got time. I must confess, I have also not read Dune.
See, this
So.
surprises me because you
I
guys, you're
know.
both
I
big
know.
like science fiction readers, and
I
stuff.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of a pillar.
It's like a classic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like right up there. I think people say it's like comparable to like it is to science fiction what like Lord of the Rings is to high fantasy.
Kind of, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
it's one of
kind
those,
of.
yeah.
I mean, not as
For
old,
sure.
but right. Like a pillar. Yeah, like you said, like a pillar
Mhm.
series to the genre. So
I've been wanting to read it since before the movie this new one really like caught my eye because there was a really cool version of the book that caught my eye in Barnes and Noble. It just looks really awesome. And then I started listening to a podcast, and one of the guys on there has been reading Dune, and so all he talks about is Dune and Dune references.
Okay.
sure.
So it's like, man, I should be getting in on this. And now I don't know what to do because there's like 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read them
Yeah.
all.
I had always wanted to read them, but just with like the last couple years of my life being consumed with grad school, I was like, I don't really want to start a series while I'm in grad school. because I feel like the
Right.
last big series I read was before that. So, but now I have no
Totally.
excuses. Now I should just buckle down and do it.
We should all read it now,
Yeah, there we
like
go.
together at the same time.
A pact made
And I
live
know
on the air.
I don't mean this second. To be clear.
Yeah.
Oh,
I could
we shouldn't spend the rest of the podcast
Uh,
silently reading.
no, that's not what I was recommending.
no,
All
we'll
right.
pick roles.
Or
We'll pick
aloud. I
roles
don't want
and
to do
read
that
it.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, true.
Well, I
Take turns.
would. But
Sounds good, actually.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I'd be down
we
for
need a
that.
few more we'd have to like have a couple roles,
Hmm.
a few different voices
Yeah,
each.
probably.
Well, I'm excited. I mean, it's a big all-star cast.
Hmm.
And I mean, sometimes that's dangerous, but just the imagery so far looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I think it's a good cast. I mean, it's really hard for me to like think that anything Josh Brolin is in isn't going to be amazing. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, he's kind of pickier with his roles, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not really in junk.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of a whole lot that I've not liked from Josh Brolin, so I'm pretty pumped about it.
Hmm. And other than the stain of Star Wars on Oscar Isaac's record, I've been a pretty big fan of his.
Yeah,
I think Ex Machina, he's really
yeah,
good in that.
agreed.
Well, in not science fiction news at all,
Hmm.
but I should have switched these around. That was a bad choice. There was a transition to the other thing. I'm gonna go okay, but it's to the iPhone. iPhone SE.
Okay,
iPhone SE is coming out. $400.
that's right.
Who's a
Yeah,
techie?
I think you're the
Not
most
really.
techie,
You're
but
you probably, yeah.
Yeah, but Phil, you have an Android, I hear.
I'm rocking the Google Pixel 2 still. It's
Okay.
one of the best phones I've ever had, I would say,
Nice.
actually.
okay.
Like personally. It's just been like a great phone. It's really held up well. It works well. It's just a great phone.
It kind of seems like the
Yeah, I'm
Pixel
more of an
2
Android
is
guy though.
the solid point or
Hmm.
the
Mhm.
A student of the Pixel lineup. Like a lot of them have
Yeah.
had. I actually got a settlement from owning a Pixel 1 for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as a
Really?
Wow.
lawsuit, yeah. And it was
What
more than
for?
like cents. It was like some number of dollars. I don't remember. But
Oh, wow.
Do you remember what the suit was for?
it was like an audio issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, audio issue that they, I don't know, didn't recognize, even though
Hmm.
it was pretty clearly a problem or something. I don't know.
Interesting.
Anyways, yeah, a complaint for a long time has been Apple's expensive, and they've been
Hmm.
dropping prices or at least offering keeping previous generation devices around and within support and selling them new for a while now. And this is the first time they've come with a new phone reusing an old build but upgraded internals
Mm,
for $400. So
Yeah.
um,
That's a good deal.
yeah, as long as they can do this without compromising uh, quality, not compromising specs, but compromising quality,
Mm,
then I'm
Sure.
cool with it.
Well, they did something like this before,
Yeah.
because I had that phone. It was like
So
the
did
SE
Dana.
or the SR or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like from the 5S to the 6 or something, or the 6 to the 7. You could get a 6 or a 7 in a 6's body or something like that.
Yeah.
When they started switching to the
It was like
bigger
this
sizes.
the
the
yeah,
market
yeah.
difference is they've never gotten internals that are so up to date in a
Yeah.
device that's this low. So
Mhm.
Right.
processor and camera and that kind of thing is it's a really fast phone. Yeah, the original SE was a couple steps back yet, you
Mhm.
know,
Mm,
and so they now using the little bit larger form factor can put a more powerful
Right.
thermal intensive chip in there and have it still work out for them. So
Right. Yeah, I know that like the processing system's supposed to be comparable to the 11. I don't think the camera is quite or doesn't have the features. I couldn't quite tell what the reviewer was I read a couple reviews and,
Yep.
so far so good. And
Mhm.
everybody seems to be really excited about it, but I wasn't sure that like they were quite up to speed on the camera.
Yeah, if you
They were
buy it,
close
you
though.
will compromise on, I mean, you're not getting the same thing everywhere,
Right.
but it's all about what are those particular choices that are made. Like they released the Pixel uh 3A, I think it was, and
Hmm.
they made the choice to compromise on processor and keep the really good camera.
Mm.
Um,
Yep.
and Apple has been like trying to keep the better processor so the device can stick around longer
Right.
whilst compromising on like screen technology.
Sure.
And, like you got big bezels on this one. There's no
Hmm.
face ID, that kind of thing, because
Right.
it really is an
Well,
old.
the way I see it is if you care deeply about those things, you're probably gonna care about investing the money into getting something that's really gonna suit your needs. But
Yes.
like I just
Right.
would see those as like the type of phone they could get for their teenager. And like there'd be like, and if their teenager's like, the camera's not good enough, they'll be like, too bad, buy your own then, because you get here's
Yeah.
a perk for half the price, and you can
Yep.
use the class.
Exactly.
And so it's perfectly serviceable
Yes.
if you don't
No,
care about
I
those extra things.
I completely agree. Now you've got kind of three distinct buckets, or tiers. You have
Mhm.
your one line that is more for you want the phone that is it's for the enthusiast or for
Mhm.
the person that wants the top of the line, the best of the best, because they got to have it, or a one
Yep.
that tries to get as long a
I feel like I
time
know
out of the
someone like
phone.
that. It's just like
Well, not that
I'm
last bit
familiar
though.
with a guy who's very much like that. I
Not
don't know.
that
It's
last part,
not coming to
because
me.
that last part
So what was
is
last?
like you want to keep it as long as possible.
Oh,
So
well,
you
you
one of
don't.
those
Yeah,
three
that's true.
things, you have the top
Yeah.
tier. Then you have the
Yeah.
middle tier, which is sort of like that's what most people should get. It's the regular phone.
Mhm.
It's gonna do very well for you.
Right.
And then you have this one
Yeah.
that right, it's either the budget option or for your
Mm,
kids or whatever. That's
right.
I think it's a good
Or
setup.
like some boomer who doesn't care
Yeah.
particularly. Like mine
Yep.
care
Mm,
less if they had like $800 iPhone versus a $400 iPhone.
Yep.
Because the generation that's not using the smartphones to their full potential anyway.
Yep.
No offense to
right.
any boomers who really are really techy, but my parents are not.
Yeah. Yep.
I do
Well,
I
oh,
do
good.
also I was just gonna say I do also think it's nice that they offer, I think, with this SE, two storage capacity options.
Hmm.
Like the regular is 64 and then you get up to 128 for just like 50 extra bucks. And
Mhm.
that's really nice. I mean, because if you are going to keep your phone for a long time, chances are like you're going to take a picture, put music on there or whatever, and you're going to have a lot of storage that you're going to need.
Mhm.
So I think it's nice that they do offer that like extra capacity for barely any extra money.
Yeah.
The uh, I used to think, as things, video formats got larger and all that stuff, um, we're going to need so much space. But
Hmm.
for most people, I mean, we don't. There was a period of time where, man, don't buy a laptop if it doesn't have at least 500 gigabytes of storage, and then now I think people can get away with 128
Hmm.
because so much is done in the cloud. Our
Right.
show notes,
Mhm.
all our documents, they don't take up any space anyways, but that's in the cloud. That doesn't have
Right.
to be local.
Mhm.
Music, I mean, so many, other than like prepaid,
Hmm.
so many telecarriers offer you a pretty good deal for unlimited music streaming.
Hmm.
So you don't need to store any music on your phone. Photos are pretty well, there's pretty good compression on them. So they don't take up a lot of space. And if they are, on iPhone anyways, and you can do it on Google too. You just turn on the auto backup,
Yeah.
and after a certain period of time, it just offloads the other ones to the cloud and keeps only most recent ones locally.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely not a super need for it, but like if we're thinking about like maybe the consumer is like we were talking about a boomer generation
Yep.
type of person who likes access to all their photos and like scrolling back and being like, look at my grandkids, from a
Mhm.
year ago or
Mhm.
whatever. Like, yeah, I mean, if they're going to keep their phone for years and years and years, it is actually kind of a nice option because I feel like they are more the sort of people who would want to store, excesses of photos on there or something.
I
So not
think.
Not necessary, but kind of a nice option if you want it.
Well, for instance, so if you have iCloud photo library turned on,
Mhm.
and you go back all the way at the beginning,
Mhm.
however many years ago, you can see the thumbnail for your
Mhm.
photo, but you might tap on it and it's blurry for a second until it
Yep.
downloads.
Yep.
And so it's that nice little offload that hopefully if you it just does it without you thinking about it too much.
Right.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Ashley has an older client and her phone is ancient and it is to the max
Yep.
stuffed.
Yeah, mine was to the max for a long time because I was very paranoid um about uploading. I uploaded all of my pictures that I took from my trip to India, which were like
Oh yeah.
4,000 pictures. Um I had uploaded them and backed them all up and everything, but I still had them on my phone because I was very paranoid about losing them. So that was
Yep.
sucking up a lot of my space for a long time. And I finally let go, but it was tough. Because they're
Well,
such like once in a lifetime pictures that I was just like, oh, I really don't want to lose them if something happens. So,
yep. It's a difficult situation. My mom has trouble with how she wants to organize her photos because
mhm.
she's in that boat where you get used to doing one thing. She was used to taking pictures, taking out the memory card, putting them
Yep.
on the computer,
Yep.
and then putting them into iPhoto at the time, and then she would burn them to discs, CDs, you know? And then it's like, well, then computers stopped coming with CDs. And guess what?
Right.
CDs actually don't hold that much, and
Right.
CDs are slow,
Right.
all that kind of thing. So then it's the move on as things evolve, and so you do have to find your
Hmm.
if you care about photos and
Hmm.
music or anything like that, you need to find a system that is both convenient and safe for
Yeah,
sure. And there's more
definitely.
than one way to do it. So,
Yeah. Chris was uh going through some of his old like childhood memories that we'd gotten from cleaning out his parents' house, and he found stacks of photos and CDs of
mhm.
photos that his mom had kept, and so he was like uploading them all on the computer. And I was really grateful that we had this old like Mac desktop because I was like, "Ugh, my laptop doesn't have a CD,
Mm,
anymore. Like, you couldn't have done
mhm.
it." So it's like, yeah,
I would have
he was
borrowed you my
uploading all of
external
them.
one.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I mean, he was uploading everything and it was just like it was so slow, it was so noisy, and like the computer was just like, "What is this? Like, what is this
Yeah.
technology?"
Yeah.
So, it was very
Well, it's
funny.
good to get them
Was it
off now because
right,
CDs home burnt don't necessarily last forever.
right.
So, well, okay. The iPhone SE. Uh,
Little tangent,
yeah.
as we do.
Um,
That's like,
in in other like tech news, I guess.
Yeah,
You found a really cool article I hadn't seen right
yeah.
away.
Yeah, on the limited edition Xbox One that's,
Yes.
coming out for Cyberpunk
Yes.
2077.
Hmm.
So it's a limited edition bundle that's available, I believe, now? No,
Well,
I'm sorry, in
pre-order
June.
maybe.
Yeah, it'll be physically available in June, but yeah, you can pre-order now. So, yeah, so it's a little bit of a redesigned, kind of throwback. It looks super sweet. It
Yes.
also kind of looks like an old cassette player. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
it
When
does.
I looked at it, it sort of reminded me of Peter Quill's cassette player from
Oh yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy. It
Yeah.
looked exactly like that. I was just like, oh man. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'm
Huh.
yeah, I'm pretty pumped about this kind of stuff that they've been doing. They've been doing these kind of limited edition releases, um, to sort of tie in with games that are either being released or, kind of
Mhm.
promo sales that they have going on before they release the Xbox X in November. So it's
Series
kind of
X,
a
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's kind of a fun little release that they're doing.
Yeah, Alan says it looks like the Sony Walkman, and it
Yeah,
does kind of
totally.
have that kinda it's I wish I needed one because I
I know,
already
I know.
have
I wish like our Xbox One was broken or
well,
something because this
you
looks super
guys
sweet.
so here's the problem with this device right now, okay? Um, it looks really cool, it's awesome and everything, But
Glows in the dark, side note.
yeah, I know. It's cool for sure. But we're getting a new Xbox in the fall, you
Right.
know? So, um, not that this, and I like what Microsoft is doing here, not that this is going to be obsolete. Like
Right.
they're trying to keep their games cross-gen here, you know?
Right.
So, if you do have a broken Xbox now or something like that, and you're not going to wait till the fall to play your games again, then this is a perfect kind of thing.
Right.
Or if you have a 4K television and you do not have an Xbox One X, anyone that has an Xbox One plain
Mhm.
or Xbox One S,
Mhm.
this is a vast improvement over
Yep.
those systems, and you'd have a pretty cool collector's item on your hand too.
Exactly.
So you're a gamer, Phil. Some I've seen you play
Yeah.
Borderlands 3.
Yep.
Are you
I have an
excited
Xbox
for?
One,
Okay.
Yep.
so still works fine as far as I can tell.
You excited for Cyberpunk 2077, or have you heard of the game much?
No, I guess I haven't. But was there Heather? Is that part of a gaming franchise? It sounds familiar.
It's new though. It's a new
Mhm.
startup, probably a new
Oh,
franchise.
Yes.
The
gotcha.
franchise
Okay, and
existed.
that sounds right up my alley though. So,
The franchise existed previously, I guess, in the RPG, the tabletop
Mhm.
oh,
RPG.
oh, okay.
So the company that makes this game is responsible for the Witcher games, who
Oh,
has
okay.
that idea from those books, and now they're
Mm-hmm.
taking the Cyberpunk property
Mm-hmm.
and using that to make this game.
Mhm.
Sounds cool. Yeah,
You should look into it.
I'm interested in playing for sure. Yeah. Okay, will do.
If
Yeah, as
you,
someone who does like the sort of cyberpunkiness,
I definitely do.
as
Yeah.
well, and I was just gonna say, as someone who's
Mm,
also a fan of Altered Carbon.
I, yes,
yes,
that I am.
right.
Yes, just finished the second season last night. Actually,
Oh, you did?
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
I did. It's up to
Chris
like one
Chris
in the
is going
morning
through
doing
the
it.
Chris is going through the first season right now.
Oh, is
Hmm.
he?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
it's
excited
so
for him
fun to
because the
like
first season's so good.
Yeah.
Like when they
it's
show
fun to watch
flashbacks of the
alongside
first
him.
season and the second season, I was like the most excited about those scenes. I was like, oh yeah, that was such a good, awesome scene. And like the second season was
Yeah.
whatever. I forget what on it at this moment.
Well, I mean, so, but you enjoy both seasons, but you sound like
Yeah.
kind of a similar mindset as what we had, where
Yeah.
Hmm.
one was a step above.
Yes, absolutely. Was it
Why would you
different?
say
Like
that
right?
is?
I just the season one was like grittier. It was more like
Mhm.
shocking. It was more intense. It was better. I like the characters more.
Mhm.
Thought the storyline was better. I thought the writing was better. I thought the shooting of the scenes was cooler. Like I felt like a whole different team produced and
Yeah,
directed and season from the first season.
I
Like
agree.
the storylines are
Mhm.
generally the same, but it was like completely different in terms of style and substance.
Didn't
And I
season,
get like you can I don't know. Yeah.
I thought season one felt like it was a show that could have been on HBO or Showtime or
Yes.
something like
Mhm.
that, or a movie.
Yes.
And season two
Hmm.
felt closer to network television, quality network television.
Yes.
If they put it on late at night,
Yes.
um, and yeah,
For
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like season 1 felt like a more complete world introduction.
hmm,
Yeah.
Like everything from top to
Hmm.
bottom was more
Hmm.
real. It was grittier, like you said. Like
Yeah.
it was things were more shocking, but everything felt more
Hmm.
complete. Like when you were
Hmm.
walking the streets of Harlan's world, it
yeah,
felt like you were like in the streets. Whereas
mhm,
season 2, I just felt like
Sure.
we were in locations and we were in places that things were happening, but it didn't feel
Hmm.
like the world around these characters was happening the way that it did in
Hmm.
season 1.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's
season
good.
one felt like another
That's
planet,
true.
like it, well, it was supposed to
Hmm.
be, you know.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And when you go
Yep.
exactly.
up to the like ships or whatever, the people living in the clouds, the super, right,
Mhm.
like that felt very alien, very different,
Yes.
you
Mhm.
know.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
as far as location goes, like, I was most excited when they finally got back to the Raven, you know, like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
back in there, and I was like, "Oh, this feels like I'm
Yeah.
recapturing some of that season 1." It didn't
Mhm.
last quite as long because I didn't feel as connected, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a
Everything just felt more,
uh
like, fully fleshed out in season 1.
there
Yeah.
was a surplus of neon and a more Blade
Mhm.
Runner kind of vibe to the
Yes,
first
for sure.
one.
Yes,
Mhm.
Um,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I felt like
Yeah.
season 1 just paid attention to the details more.
Mhm. Yeah. So it was it was like season 1 blew my mind, and
Mhm.
season 2 did, but it then didn't blow my mind. I don't
Yep.
know.
Mhm.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, I feel like season 2, I was really interested in Kel's storyline,
Mhm.
like her whole like reappearance and what she was going through and like the reveal that, she'd been sort of like tainted by this elder who wanted
Sure.
revenge. Like that was really cool and it was something I was
Mhm.
happy to see wasn't playing out in a usual fashion. Like, it wasn't Takeshi's sister Ray who had
Mhm.
made her forget him and then she had to remember Takeshi. And because I feel like that's a storyline I've
Mhm.
I've seen before. So this was like a really interesting, ultimate sort of plot that they
Mhm.
they had to then, figure out by the end of season 2. But the rest of it just didn't feel as urgent, didn't feel as like
Mhm.
interwoven, didn't feel like the stories were all interconnected.
Right. Well, I feel like
So,
really the only storyline really was her storyline, and then everything else was just
yeah.
kind of that was the main storyline. So it
Yep.
did feel kind of like
Yeah.
less expansive of a season.
Yeah. Well, they tried
Right.
to add the political intrigue stuff,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
governor and whatever. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I feel like it just didn't quite work out because her character didn't quite work out. Not the actress
Yeah.
playing her, because I think she did good with what she had, but
Mhm.
I didn't think they fully had thought out her character, so that was tough.
Yeah.
The side storyline that I liked best actually was Jaeger's.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was a little added. I still like that the first actor better.
I
He
do
felt like he
too.
had more weight to him, but
Mhm. For
um
sure.
it did bring a layer to, like, I didn't think he was, as I didn't realize Takashi was as close to him and as important to
Right.
him as he
Mhm.
was and all that stuff. So
Right.
Yeah.
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 And
The one part I thought was
and
sorry,
bringing
go
back
ahead, Andrea.
oh, I was just gonna say bringing back Takeshi's original sleeve was just
Yes.
like again
Yes.
a move I didn't see coming and I
That was
loved.
cool. Double sleeving him, yeah.
So,
And I get why they obviously spun him back up into his original sleeve, but part of me
mhm.
was like spun up like the Joel Kinnaman
oh
Yeah.
version and had him chase down the Anthony Mackie version. That would have been sweet. But yeah,
I
Yes.
I really
obviously,
liked I really liked that guy though. I liked
yeah, I do too.
and I guess to me it made a lot of sense that, you know, what's his face had the emotional connection to him, you know.
Yes,
Jaeger, you mean?
Yeah, Jaeger had the
Yeah.
emotional
sure.
connection to that sleeve in
Right.
particular, and so
Right.
Yes,
that's
for sure. Yes, like I say,
Yeah,
it
I
wouldn't
think it
have
made
made
sense in
sense,
this
but
season.
it would have been cool. That's
yep.
all I'm saying.
Yes,
I
I
feel
I
like
agree with that.
he just I think what'd you say his name is, Kinnaman or whatever?
Joel Kinnaman.
Joel
Yeah,
Kinnaman,
I feel
yeah,
like he just wanted to move on. Like
Mhm.
he's getting
I think
enough
so
other
too.
offers or something, that he I don't
Yeah,
know. That's it. His whole team just left with him.
Yeah.
I did like
right.
the bringing back a couple of the other characters. So I liked it when his sister was there some,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
when he's in the ring and they're fighting and
Yeah, I
stuff.
thought that was pretty cool,
Hmm.
actually. That
Yeah.
was that was something I felt like was
Hmm.
a little more visceral and sort of reminded me of Fight Drome from the first season,
Yep.
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. Yeah. So there were like
Um,
glimpses of like first season, but
yeah.
not enough
Mhm.
to sustain me.
Well, I just watched a video on how this is going to seem off topic, but it's not. Casino Royale
Mm.
changed Bond from every other Bond film. How it really changed it because they upped to the cinematography. The whole
Mhm.
look
Mm,
of the of the film was now all
Sure.
of a sudden thoughtful and more dynamic. And
Mm-hmm.
when you look at other Bond films, they're relatively straightforward, pretty
Mhm.
bland. Um, it's like a lot of static shots and stuff. And they made things
Mm-hmm.
way more interesting with Casino Royale. And I feel like it's the
Mm-hmm.
reverse with Altered Carbon. They had
Mm-hmm.
professionals in there that knew what they were doing in season one, and then they went
Mm-hmm.
flatter and duller.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
It's a great analogy.
Before we
Yep.
sort of slide off of Altered Carbon, so you finished season 2, Phil. So you obviously know like the big
Yes.
reveal at the end,
Yes.
that Poe is carrying an organic
Anthony
stack.
Mackie's baby. Yes. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yes. But
So
basically, I'm
were you
assuming I'm
excited
a
about
Takeshi's
that?
stack.
Yeah. Were you excited about that, or were you
Uh,
like, "Oh, I kind of was like, no, this could be
I
over."
mean, it's fine. I mean, like I thought they were gonna move in the direction of like the his old like stack and like memories have
Yeah.
died, but
yeah,
he's still there as the new, you know, Takeshi. So
yep,
Mhm.
they can just go with him now, and they can,
right.
you know, they can move on if they want to. I don't know if
It's a,
are they going to do it this season for sure? Do we know? Has it been
I don't think
confirmed?
it's confirmed.
It hasn't been confirmed, no.
Okay.
I think it's likely, but no, it hasn't officially
Yeah.
been confirmed yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed because I was excited about, like you said, kind of following the older sleeve of
Mm-hmm.
Takeshi and seeing
Mm-hmm.
maybe where he might go.
You mean the
And then it
younger
sort of was
slave?
like, oh, well, the older form, but yes, younger, older. But yeah, how do you order
He's,
that? I guess.
I
The
mean, he's the
original,
younger, really.
it's the
Yeah.
original sleeve.
Yeah.
Original
So
sleeve.
yeah, so
Mhm,
the original
Farther back in
sleeve.
time.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Original but younger. But yeah, so I thought we
Right.
were gonna follow him and sort of like see,
Mm-hmm.
what he would be like just sort of re-breaking away from SeaTac.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, oh, I guess we truly do have two. So
There's only so much
Mm-hmm.
like hardship and turmoil, and like he's always seemed like kind of a, I don't know what the word is for him, but didn't have a huge desire to live.
mm,
Like he's been through so much and like I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired of this and kind of thing.
Right.
And so
Right.
it made sense to let him die a good death, an
mhm,
actual good
Mm-hmm.
death. And yet now
Mm-hmm.
we have the fun, we can bring back the same character, but he's not as jaded yet, you know, and
mhm,
he can
Mm-hmm.
rediscover how things go. And yeah, I think it's a
right.
missed opportunity um,
Yeah.
to like lessen some complication too. Like give
Yeah.
yourself, you can ramp up complication and problems through the
Mm-hmm.
next season. You don't need to start with them.
Yeah.
And but yeah,
Yeah. We'll
well,
see.
okay. So not sci-fi. We've been talking lots of like futuristic things and tech
Mhm.
things and sci-fi things, all the way to the past, this fantasy past. Castlevania. Reason you're here, Phil. What do you think of Castlevania on
Oh,
Netflix? Netflix is
I
Castlevania.
Netflix. Yes. Yes. I've been loving it. Yeah. I'm here to talk about. I
What,
just,
what
I'm
what
here
got you into it?
with
Like,
you.
why'd you choose that?
I think you
Did
actually
I
got me
mention
into
it?
it.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Pretty
okay.
positive. Yeah, I tried to look back through some text threads, and the earliest mention I can find of it was you telling me I should watch it, and me
Okay.
saying like, "Yeah, dude, it's totally on my list."
Okay.
And then I eventually watched it. So I'm pretty sure it was you, and like you telling me, recommending it to me,
Okay.
Oh, well, I make good
which was a
recommendations. I mean, that's what I
solid
say.
recommendation. Good
Yeah.
job. Good. Well done.
um, well, Andrea, you got a bunch of good questions in here.
Oh, thank you.
We need to make it fill block question segment, but there are things I
Uh,
don't know what your stance is on these.
Yeah,
sure.
so okay, so
For
you
sure.
started watching Castlevania because John recommended it. So you weren't
Yes.
familiar with the video games before this at
I
all?
mean, no, I was familiar that they existed,
But yeah, hadn't played them or
and
anything.
that the show is loosely based on the games, but nothing more than that. And obviously, I knew that like Castlevania was like I knew the loose basics, like it's like a vampire,
Yeah.
Dracula type of killers and stuff. But that's about all I knew.
Okay.
And I think yeah.
So is this like your kind of first foray into like animated shows, or have you watched some
Uh,
before? Do you have any
yeah, I mean,
basis of comparison for like other animated?
um, right. I mean, this is my first like foray into like really getting into an animated like anime style show.
Mhm.
I've watched like I grew up in the '90s and the early 2000s was like a teenager, like a grade schooler teenager. So obviously I watched all the Family Guy, South Park, all
Mhm.
those animated Venture Brothers, some of that stuff when I was like high school,
Okay.
college age. But and I here and there caught I watched a movie, a Vampire Hunter D movie once in like college, and I had watched a few episodes of Cowboy Bebop here and there, but I was never invested. It was like I was with someone who wanted to watch an episode or two, and I wasn't like seeking it out of my own.
Sure.
So I know this isn't
Okay.
like, probably true anime. I don't know, but
No, it's not.
I haven't. No.
Yeah,
Okay.
John's
Well,
very much like a
is it
stickler on this
even
point. I
is it even
I
considered
tried to
anime?
like
I
have
don't
us
know.
watch
No,
this.
it's not anime. It's not even
What
anime.
would you call it?
Yeah,
What would
I
be
tried
the
to have us
genre
watch
with
this
this going?
before,
It's
but yeah.
animation or a cartoon.
Okay.
I mean,
So
it's not its source is not Japan, so it's not anime.
Yeah.
got it.
Anime was,
Okay.
I mean, earlier they used to call it Japanimation,
Yep.
and then it's like
Gotcha.
that's long, so it's gonna call it anime,
Uh-huh. Okay.
anime, whatever. And so yeah, this
Sure.
is not. I don't know if anyone from Japan is involved in this show. Maybe there's some, but
Yeah.
Some of Japanese heritage and descent, maybe.
I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sure I get other people that will disagree on, like there's
Hmm.
people, lots of when I used to going to anime conventions, there's lots of people here that wants to someday make anime. They want to draw manga,
Mhm.
that kind of
Hmm.
thing. And
Hmm.
so in back of my head, it's like, you can't, you know, but look,
Right.
you can, yeah, for all intents and purposes. I'm just
Right.
not going to
Yeah.
call it that.
Sure. But there's got to be some like stylistic similarities
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
with
absolutely.
like
absolutely.
Castlevania versus like some other true
Yep.
anime.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
yeah. But this is probably the first time I've watched like a dramatic cartoon. I
Yeah.
would say really
Okay,
to it.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and that's
Like a
that's the
comedy.
thing. Like American audiences, generally speaking, are used to, if animated, it's either on television for children, or
Hmm.
definitely all ages or whatever, or
Right.
it's a like comedy that's
Hmm.
more closer aimed at adults, South Park or something like
Yeah.
that, like you say, Family
Right.
Guy. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
it's a little more odd for people sometimes to
Hmm.
have a, you know, detective series, or a
Hmm.
romantic comedy, I guess, or whatever,
Hmm.
that's aimed at a broader audience or an older audience. So,
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
and
Yeah,
I like this.
I think this is like the right kind of show though to bring that sort of in and introduce people to
Yeah.
it. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
yeah.
Like
I agree.
it's a familiar story. Like I think a lot of people are
Hmm.
familiar with like some version of a Dracula story.
Yeah.
Supernatural is obviously like very the supernatural.
Hmm.
I mean, is
Mm.
obviously like a hot topic of focus for shows like
Hmm.
teenagers,
Sure.
kids, adults kind of thing. So I mean it's a good one to introduce, I
Mhm.
think, or to
Yeah.
invite into that kind of world and see what you want to get out of it.
Hmm.
I I kind of like the story of this guy doing this too.
Mm.
He was working to get rights to some different properties because he's tired of seeing the franchises that he loves from video games in his mind destroyed by Hollywood. Just
Oh,
totally
okay.
messed up by Hollywood. He's like, I'm not gonna let them wreck Castlevania. That's why you got Devil May Cry. I don't want to see. He uses much more colorful language than I am.
What
But
does he think Hollywood is destroyed?
every video game movie ever made, pretty much. I mean,
Okay, all right.
like Doom with The
Yeah,
Rock.
I
Oh, I never
know.
saw it, but I've heard it wasn't like great.
Exactly.
The Resident Evil movies. Now,
Mm.
Mm,
I do enjoy some of those,
I
but
do
they
too.
Yeah,
are
some of them
in
are cool.
they do not pay
They're
respect
very
to the source
different.
material in any way,
No, I
and
was gonna say they don't feel the same as the video games.
right,
Sure.
They're
right,
they're a whole different beast with
yeah,
that just happens to have the same name, I think.
right,
I feel like it's very rare for the adaptation to be really closely aligned to the source material. I
sure.
don't know, and like
Mhm.
satisfying to like hardcore fans.
But there is a difference between um, being true to the source material and being like
Creative.
accurate to the T. You know, it's
Yeah.
sort of like I remember when Harry Potter movies were coming out, and
Mm,
you get a lot of people are complaining, "Oh, this is not like this book. This is not like this book. This is not like this book." They
hmm
cut all this stuff out. But then when the Lord of the Rings movies were coming out, I didn't hear that very much. And I think it
Yeah, I
was the
thought they
difference
did.
in age of the audience, but like they
Maybe.
did, in my mind, a honorable job of
hmm
caring about what the source material is,
Right.
understanding it, and knowing how we can adapt that to film, to a new
hmm
format. Instead
Yes.
hmm
of, let's buy this property. I don't really care about it, but we know that it has name recognition.
Right. It's
And
gonna
I'm going to
sell.
make
Yeah.
this thing out of it, and the name will get
hmm
people in the screens and whatever. And so
hmm
there are two different ways. Like if you want to
Yep.
put your foot down and say this is a completely different thing,
hmm
that's fine. But it is a magical thing when someone can create, varying forms of media adaptations of something, and
hmm
people that have liked it before don't feel alienated as well.
Mhm.
hmm
I
Agreed.
think I think if I mean, it's hard to compare Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. But I
Oh,
think
I do it.
one of the big things that Lord of the Rings had going for it was one director, all 3 movies, and he, like, shot them all at once.
hmm
Yep.
No, I mean, most of it
Yeah.
anyway. I mean, there were
Yeah.
reshoots
Right.
and things like that. I mean, you
Very
can't
cohesive.
just
Yes.
yeah, it
Yes.
feels like very tied into itself, the source
hmm
material, like, Peter Jackson was tuned into all of that, but then also had the chance to, like, oversee everything. And it's tough with Harry Potter when you do shift directors that have very different ideas about
hmm
what the universe that you're in should look like.
Yep.
So they
Oh,
they
oh,
don't
yeah.
they don't always, stay true to the source material, or sometimes they
hmm
don't stay true, I think, to um the universe that they're in. Like,
hmm
the first two, I think the first two films with Christopher Columbus, they really try to stay true to the source material, but they're very light. They're very, not heavy on drama and not like very gritty or real. Whereas like I
hmm
like some of the gritty and realness that comes in later, but
hmm
you have to leave a lot of source material out because they're such large books.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
I also think it's tricky because Harry Potter was such a more recent phenomenon. Like when the movie or fever was still like alive and well,
Yep.
and Lord of the Rings have been out for
Exactly.
I don't know 3 or 4 decades.
Yep.
Since what, the 70s or 60s when they
Right.
first came out. So I mean, I know they're incredibly popular books and like a pillar of fantasy, the genre, but it had been a while since people had like probably read them when they saw the movies.
Yep.
Whereas people
Mhm.
who saw Harry Potter were like, I just literally read all these books and like I waited in
Right.
line. I waited in line to see the first Harry Potter opening night midnight showing for like 6 hours that Friday, and then I saw it and I was just like, "What the hell was this?" I was like, Ugh. I was like, I was very disappointed. But it was like a brand new thing for me, like
Yep.
Sure.
really exciting
And
for
I
everyone.
guess I mean to slight the Harry, because I am a big fan of Harry Potter movies, and I
Oh, I'm
think that
not. So
I think they
don't
do
worry about it.
a a very good, amazing job considering, like you say, all the different directors that are involved and stuff. Oh,
I
okay.
guess.
So
All
what's your
right.
beef, Phil? What's your
I just
beef?
don't. I'm not a big fan of Daniel Radcliffe as a young Harry Potter. Like he was terrible. I thought.
What?
Like I don't know. They
Did
just
you
weren't.
watch
It
more
just
than the
didn't
first
capture.
two?
Yeah, I've seen them all. I just don't like. I don't love them.
Oh,
Sure, yes.
wow.
I
Was
can't
it
say the
because of Harry
entire
Potter's
five.
not you, Phil? You wanted to be Harry Potter?
No, I mean, maybe a little, but
Okay, yeah.
I was soured by the whole experience, and
Oh,
I love like a passion, and I just,
huh.
but
I I don't know too many
now
people
your
really
podcast
that.
probably gets sued because I said that, so I apologize.
No, it's fine. I mean, look,
Never having Phil on again, John. Put it in the show
I
notes.
it's it you know, pretty often or plenty of times, Andrew and I have pretty similar conclusions or opinions on
Mhm.
something.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's good to not have always the same opinions and stuff.
Exactly.
I'm gonna try to
Oh, I
fight you
know.
more,
Oh,
Andrea.
right. I forget that like
No, go
your
ahead.
wife is your Harry Potter fan. Sorry, my bad. Like, isn't Ashley like a huge Potterhead?
I mean,
More than
I consider
fair.
myself a pretty big Harry Potter fan, and
Yeah.
she is. I
Yeah.
mean, I've only read the books once, and I've seen all the movies. I've seen all the movies a few times at least,
Yeah.
Oh
and
my! You've only read the books once?
yeah. But I've played
One
the
time.
Harry Potter game,
Mhm.
Oh,
and I
okay.
know very passionately which house I'm in,
Mhm.
and I've been to Harry Potter. I'm trying to prove my Harry Potter fan here. What's
Yeah.
going on? Like
No,
I
it's
like
fine. I
Harry
mean,
Potter, like and but I haven't heard too many people that like Harry Potter that really don't like the movies. I really haven't.
Mhm.
hmm. I
I have very
mean,
different opinions about
yeah,
each of the movies, but
Yeah.
sure.
I
Like
mean, overall, I tend to like them. I do
Yeah.
tend to like Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter, but I think some of my trouble with the films is each character is not as fully fleshed out as they are in the books. So you just don't get the whole side of
Mhm.
every character. So I think there is more opportunity to be dissatisfied by a character's journey, by a
Mhm.
character portrayal, because they do have to cut out a lot of things. Like I was
Right.
reading a news article just for fun, just for escapism the other day about
Mm.
things that people felt that were in the books that should have made it into the movies. And a lot of it was the lighter side of Harry when he's like, joking around with people or he's being particularly
Mhm.
clever or
Mm.
um in the sixth book where Snape is trying to, figure out where Harry gets that like half blood prince potions book from. And Harry Potter is like being a little smartass and
Mhm.
being very funny back to Professor Snape. It's like some of these
Mhm.
like moments didn't make it in the movies.
Mhm.
So, I feel like it's tough to feel like they're truly Harry without all facets of him
Yeah.
sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Also,
well,
John, when did you read the books for the first time?
so
Like as they came out or later?
kind of yeah, as the year it came out.
Okay.
It was I was a little behind.
Okay.
Bunch of kids in school were talking about it,
Mhm.
and my sister has started reading them. And then I
Mhm.
think for Christmas one year, she got me the first two in
Okay.
paperback.
Okay.
And so when I
Mhm.
started reading, the first two were out, and
Mhm.
then I, caught up and just read them as they came out.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. Like, I was just like, I would like spend several months waiting for the next one to come out, like every
Same.
day. Like, I was just like and I was a big reader as a kid. And Andrea, I know you were too, and John, I don't really know if you were or
Yeah.
not, but like,
Yeah.
I was like a voracious reader. And
Mhm.
so if there was a series, waiting for the next book to come out of that series was like torture. It was torture waiting for the fourth
Absolutely.
book to come out, for the fourth book to come out. And when it did, I tried to like savor it. And I don't know. I just love the book so much. I've read the series like 10 times probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I like love the Harry Potter books, and I like a lot of the Harry Potter
Mhm.
universe that's exploded up, but I don't care about any of that as much. I care about the books. Like,
Yeah.
honestly. What
I
the
mean,
difference.
when I
But why I'm not super jazzed about
we're really
movies.
lucky in our age bracket to have had that, to be able to grow up with
Mhm.
Yeah.
those out around the same age as the students. I think it's a
Hmm.
pretty crazy thing that not many people will have been able to do
Right.
Hmm.
ultimately. And so
Yeah.
it's really cool. I though found often when I was reading the books. Like they did a good job of inspiring my imagination, but
Mhm.
one thing I appreciate about the films is past the first two, they kind of did things that I had to do in my mind already for the books.
Mhm.
In the books, a lot of times I had to remove the hats from the kids in my head canon because the pointy hats look dumb. So you're not going to wear those,
Oh,
you
sure.
Mhm.
know? And there was certain things that just needed an element of like we can amp this up. We can make this better.
Mhm.
We can make this cooler. And I
Mhm.
actually thought in a number of ways they did that in the films. And I appreciate that. Like
Mhm.
when in his film history before has a real wizard duel been filmed and filmed well? It
Mhm.
Mhm.
hasn't happened. Harry Potter had to come up with what that looks like on screen, and they did a spectacular job. Like anything in the past would have been,
Mhm.
you know, it would have been pretty hokey, pretty
Mhm.
cheesy.
Mhm.
And they got rid of some things like not everybody says their spell all the time before casting it.
Mhm.
And a lot of
Yeah.
people would not like that. But I liked it. It's like you have these professionals, however aged, that have been doing this forever and they have to
Mhm.
call out every spell, and so they added coolness
Sure.
that the
Sure.
books didn't.
Okay. I mean, I'll definitely concede that the movies got way better as they went along, to the point where the last three or four are like watchable.
Okay.
Like I enjoy it somewhat.
Mhm. I I like them almost like Bond films. They tick different boxes.
Mhm.
Like the
Sure.
first two, I like watching around the holidays. They're fun and light and really do
Mhm.
embody kind of the spirit of the early Harry Potter books. They're kind
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
a whimsical, like not too
Very
serious.
childlike.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
filled with incredible English actors as the
Mhm.
teachers and
Yeah.
a brilliant John Williams score.
Mhm.
And then you move on, and the third one is, in my book, a work of art. Maybe John Williams'
Hmm.
best score. It is cuts a lot from the book, but
Mhm.
Mm.
really distills the essence of what that book is in my mind.
Mhm.
Nails,
Mhm.
Sirius Black, and so that's like I watch that for a drama. Like they have their
Mhm.
different
Sure.
tones and pros that I watch them
Mhm.
for.
Mhm.
Mhm. Sure. How did we get down this rabbit hole?
Well,
How
Very
did that happen?
adaptations.
easily. We do this all
Castlevania
the
is an
time.
Okay.
adaptation.
Okay.
And so what we really got you on here for, Phil, is to say, did the naked nude sex scenes in Castlevania bother
Oh.
you or not? Because this was the point of contention between
Yes.
Andrea and I. It's
Yes.
like Andrea says it took
Oh.
her out of the moment. I'm like, I don't know. I've seen
Oh,
enough
It
really?
anime.
was
It
it
doesn't
was
bother me.
okay.
No.
So here
I thought
I'm
it
gonna
was great. Oh,
I'm
sorry. Go
gonna lay
ahead.
out
You
my
you you
point.
do your lay out your point
Yeah.
first, and then I'll.
So I had no problem with like the actual characters having sex. Like
Sure.
whatever. Like that's fine. Go
Right.
get it or whatever. Even though the
I
second
mean, they're cartoons.
Lenore,
Yeah.
yeah. But the second Lenore went in to okay, sorry. So we're just in season 3 of Castlevania.
Yeah.
We've been introduced to some new characters, including
Right.
Carmilla's Council of Sisters, and two new
Mhm.
characters, Taka and Sumi, who interact with Alucard,
Right.
while Trevor and Cypher are away. And
Mhm.
over the season, these characters develop romantic bonds, or bonds of friendship that turn romantic at the end here. And so Lenore has been building this bond with Hector, I feel like, for a purpose, and we finally figure out this purpose in the last, couple of episodes here,
Sure.
where she goes in and she proceeds to like sort of let him seduce her, but also sort of seduce him at the same time. And the second she went in there to do that, I was like, Hector, you in trouble. Like,
Oh,
this
Hector
isn't
was
going to end well for you.
Hector's been in trouble. He's the dude.
He's been in trouble, but like the
Yeah.
second she went in there, I was like, this isn't just like she's going in there to have sex with you. Like this is something else. So I was
Obviously.
very aware, I think, from the first moment I was watching it, that there was something else going on here.
Sure.
And it was fine. It was fine to sort of have these like intimate moments juxtaposed against the very expansive battle, I thought, of Trevor and Sypha,
Mhm.
against this whole like brotherhood who's trying to bring Dracula back and like open up the
Mhm.
infinite corridor and,
Mhm.
cause chaos.
Mhm.
So it was a really interesting scene juxtaposition, and I
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, I've seen this before. I think it works well, to have these like very
Mhm.
intimate bonds posed against this, very bloody battle.
Mhm.
But I found it slightly ridiculous in cartoon form because they got so close up to these like cartoon limbs,
Mhm.
like legs and stuff. It felt so unreal. Like I know I'm watching a cartoon, but like to get into like almost the pixelated edge of a
Sure.
leg coming in the screen, I was just like, I feel like you went a little too far and I needed you to pull back a little bit, you know?
Yeah, but I like
So
yeah, but it's like
that's
it's
where I come from with I
sure.
was just like, it's a bit much because I thought they got
Sure.
too close up into like, I can see the drawing of a, line here.
Right. Right.
So,
See, but like I don't watch it as a cartoon almost. Like it's animated,
that's
but
the thing.
it's a very
I usually
mature
don't
audience
watch it at
show. So like the
yeah,
violence really sometimes gets to me like on a visceral level. Like there's
yeah,
shows like there were points in both seasons of Altered Carbon where I was just like, oh, don't need to see that.
yeah,
There are literally times in Castlevania where I'm like, I don't need to see that. And I know it's a cartoon, but it's just like pretty hyper violent, and I just don't need to like see it. It just
yeah.
like bothers me. Like I love it, but
But
like I like the in your faceness of it because it's like kind of shocking, and I enjoy that because it really
yeah.
keeps you on your toes. Um,
So
so
what you're
like the same
saying
is true
is
for
But
the.
is
see, that's
Andrea's wrong.
but see,
I
here's the
mean,
thing though. It's like I don't watch it as a cartoon either, but
uh-huh,
that super close up moment brought me into the fact that I was like, "Oh, right, this is a cartoon." Because
sure,
normally, like, when you get that close up to people, like, it's just like, yeah, this is like people, this is skin, this is real, this is,
right,
and so I hadn't been watching it as a cartoon, but when they got
hmm
close up like that, I was
right,
like, "Oh, right, I'm watching a cartoon right now." It's very apparent that this image is cartoon. So
sure.
it almost took me out of it.
Okay, I mean that's fair if it did that for you. It didn't necessarily. It didn't. I'm not going to say you're wrong. That's your experience, but my experience was not that way, and I
Okay.
was able to like not. It didn't affect me that way, and I was seeing it as like
Didn't think about it
this
that way, yeah.
season built so well, and so like I think like they
Mhm.
built it up very in a very crafty way. That's not the right word, but anyway, until kind of like organized,
It,
if you will.
it was an
And
elegant
so there's
story
like this
structure,
like
like
there was,
season
and then
3.
there's
Yeah.
this like violent sexual release at the end. Like it was
Mhm.
well done. It was cool, like this inter splicing of like the fighting scenes and the sex scenes, and like it was just a super cool like musical score behind it. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought like
Yep.
super cool release of
It was
all the
the
tension from
climax
like
in many ways, and
yeah
it really like
Ah,
they
right
nice
really did
wordplay.
they really did. I think it was appropriate payoff. Like
Mhm.
yeah
they could have interspersed the more of this stuff throughout the season, but I really enjoyed the intensity of it
Mhm.
all
hmm
at once.
hmm
Like I would have liked it, but I didn't need to see Isaac's battle all strung together in once. I thought it was
hmm
everybody's like that build of tension to these
Mhm.
moments
hmm
and then seeing them all release at the same
yeah
time. That was pretty great.
yeah. There were some other just like great scenes too that I'm just recalling now that we're talking about it. I just in season 3, I love that scene where Isaac was or surrounded by um, his what he was the
Demons.
night
Yeah, Night
Yep.
Lord.
around like a fire, and he asks that like
Oh,
fly
yeah.
demon
The
Yes.
Fly.
like his backstory. That was cool. Like just little things like that they add in that are like this just
Mhm.
takes the show to like another level of like depth and like
Yep.
interest. Like very unique and very cool.
That to me is, I mean, the very thing that, you know, Castlevania, particularly season 3, exemplifies why animation is such a powerful thing because
Mhm.
you can have
hmm
scenes like that with The Fly, which could be done
hmm
in live action and probably be as effective. But you've got
hmm
other things that can be more effective because they can be more outlandish and we can
hmm
accept them.
Like
Um,
hmm
Trevor and Sypha's battle.
yes. You
Mhm.
Yeah.
know, I mean, I know Hollywood is trying to do it, and they're always like kind of upping the bar on like
Mhm.
intensity and action
Sure.
and craziness, you know, but
Shock
it's not.
value. Yeah.
Yeah. But whereas Andrea gets taken out of the moment by like realizing this is animation, like I get taken out of the moment in Hollywood films sometimes and like
Sure.
that's
Mm.
not even close to possible here. Like my
Yes.
Mhm.
suspension of disbelief only goes so
Sure.
far. When
Right.
Sure.
Trevor gets knocked by a say
Yeah.
30-ton demon across the room into a wall and spits some blood up and in animated
And then
form,
gets
I'm all
back up.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And you're
When
like, well, this is a cartoon.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can, but when it's all of a sudden live action and they do that to someone and they do it
Yeah.
all the time, I'm like,
Mhm.
every bone in your body's broken. You're not getting up
Right.
from
Yeah.
that.
Right.
So
Right.
like there's
No.
these
Yeah.
different this heightened element that you can have with
Right.
animation
Sure.
if it's treated with the same maturity and respect that you would in
Mhm.
any other format.
Right.
Mhm. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and
Agree.
like I did mention before that I think Trevor and Sypha's final battle to me didn't take me out of it because I did feel very like in there, and like you said, this is possible
Mhm.
in this sort of universe to,
Mhm.
have whips. Trevor's two dual whips that like somehow change sizes magically
Oh
depending on
my
whatever
god.
he wants to
That's so
grab
cool, isn't
onto.
it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really fun, and like I've said this before, that whole scene felt like the final boss battle in a video game. So I was just
Oh,
like
for
all
sure.
in, and I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's
the
very cool.
music, the action, like what they
Mhm.
were doing, like
Mhm.
everything brings me into this particular moment. So
Yeah.
I'm totally good with like that scene being animated. Like I
Mhm.
said, it was just like the sort of like super close up
Mhm.
stuff that took
Mhm.
me out a little bit. So
Sure. 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 Sure.
Do you have
But
a favorite season? Like, is one of the seasons stand out for you most, or
I prefer season. So far, I mean, I like them all a lot, but season three was like I feel like on another level. I feel like they're finally hitting a
yeah.
stride. First season was like pretty short. It was kind of
yes,
like a little. It was almost like a
short?
little mini series, and then
Hmm.
the second season wasn't even as long as the third season, like shorter episodes and stuff, and less episodes. I think.
Yes. Yep.
Um, he was the most complete season with the complete storyline and adding in other characters. Um, and I feel like you take Dracula basically out of the storyline, you have room to add in a
Yep.
bunch of new characters, all really cool.
Do you
I'll
like
kind of go over
everybody we
some.
were introduced to in season 3?
I do, yeah. I even liked, the people I'm least like. The ones I care about the least are like probably the I forget their names, but the ones that made like friends and then tried to kill Alucard.
Oh,
Like they were
Taka
Yeah.
and
cool, but
Sumi, yeah.
so I don't, so it was more about like saying it said more about Alucard's storyline than it did about them as like new characters.
Right.
So but like Lenore, I loved Lenore. She was awesome. Saint Germain was awesome. I even really like Sala. He like really I got a kick out of him. He was a cool character.
Hmm.
Just kind
Okay.
of that
Yep.
thinking nest, like it was cool. I really liked the judge, but
Yep.
deeply disturbing part of the third season. Like usually there's
Absolutely.
one thing in each season that like sticks with me as being like, oh, like
Hmm.
too disturbing for me personally. Like not saying they're pushing an envelope too far, like they're doing what they're doing, but like the pit with and the kids and like that, like you know, killing little kids in a spike pit fetish is like not doing it for me. Like too spent the whole season making you think like, oh, there's actually some like decent people in this like
Yep.
alternate 14th, 15th century like European
Right.
alternate universe, and then they make them like this horrible monster like post
Yeah.
mortem. So kind of like, but
Yeah,
overall, I thought it was awesome. Yeah.
I was sort of like ready for his death. Because he
Mhm.
was voiced by Jason Isaacs, who,
Mm.
is usually always evil. So I was sort of like, yeah, I'm kind of okay that he died, even though he was supposed to be like this good character. And I was just like, I
Mhm.
don't know why I feel weirdly satisfied
Mm.
that he
Mhm.
died. And then it was like revealed right after, he's actually kind of
Mhm.
horrible. And I was like,
Right.
that's why I felt
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure.
So
Yeah.
if
Definitely.
you didn't listen to our episode where we talked about Castlevania before, I'm gonna blow your mind right
Mhm. Okay.
So if you look back at the guy that Isaac was fighting,
Mhm.
the
Mm-hmm.
old magician, and
Mhm.
you
Mm-hmm.
compare him side by side with Saint Germain, they look incredibly similar, other
Interesting.
than
I did not know that.
age.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
so there's the theory out there that whatever happens to Saint Germain getting stuck in the multiverse, however this goes, that
Mhm.
that is him, just like gone
Oh,
mad,
interesting.
and that the
In a
woman
different
he was
time, like
searching
stream.
for,
Yeah.
potentially, yeah, and then
Hmm.
the woman that he was searching for is the woman the one woman that was left that wasn't taken over in that other
Mhm.
town.
Who like
So that
directs
would
Isaac to go towards
Interesting.
the magician. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
So you
That's
should look at the
interesting. I
picture.
could.
They're wearing similar
Okay.
clothes and everything, and
Uh-huh. Oh,
uh,
okay. Yeah,
um,
I could believe
Yeah,
something
I
like
hadn't thought
that for
about it
sure.
either.
Yeah.
but
Um,
yeah,
I
have
feel
you
like
heard?
it'd be nice if it was because I feel like it would help tie in that battle more because I was
mhm,
just so not feeling that battle.
mhm,
You know what I mean? Like it felt very separate and I
mhm,
know Isaac was going there because this woman was like, "Well, he possesses this mirror that can transport you to Styria so you can get to
mhm.
Hector like you want and whatever." But I don't know,
Right,
but it felt like a lot of like big battle and I was just like, I'm not really
right.
sure what the point of all of this is right
Well,
now.
I see. I totally understand. I think I understand why they like put
Okay.
him on
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
journey. He's essentially looking for an
Go ahead.
army. He
Yeah.
needs like
Right,
bodies, and
exactly.
so this is like perfect for him. Now he's got all these dead bodies he can make into his army.
Yep.
So what
Sure.
do you think? Or very convenient
I think it
result
was a
for him.
happy
Characters,
accident.
right?
Yeah.
He didn't go there thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna
I just
have an
thought this
army
was
now."
like
Well, but
this
he
whole
knew the
like
magician had
magician with his
slaves of some number.
yeah.
Mhm.
So he's like, well,
Yeah.
I might have to travel
I
around
thought
and yeah.
yeah, I just thought it was like very weird. Like the whole idea of these people was very
Hmm.
strange. Like these like green
Yeah.
crown Jesus like
Right.
people. Like I was just like,
Right.
I'm not really seeing like what this needs to do with the
The
story,
villain came
Sure.
out that villain came out of nowhere.
Right.
But to
yes.
Yes.
me, it was like a welcome surprise because I didn't know what else Isaac was going to like. What was his big moment going to be?
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I loved seeing how he did battle with the night beasts that he had, and
Hmm.
it was so different from. I mean, I liked that. There was like a lot of times you can have, okay, here's monsters, we stab them or blow them up, kind of thing. And this was something I have never seen in
Hmm.
any form before. It's basically like having a swarm of human
Yeah.
bodies. So
Hmm.
I thought it was a really neat idea and the
Hmm.
powers, and I loved
Yeah.
seeing how effective just a human
Hmm.
Isaac can be with his
Right.
Yeah.
abilities.
Yeah. It was really
Though
cool. Yeah.
Though I think his ability to create like a knight army is conveniently quite different than Hector's because
Yeah.
Isaac seems to be able to do it almost instantaneously where like
Right.
Hector needs like a forge and a hammer and like he
Well,
needs time to create, you know what I mean? Like at
do
least
we
the way
know
it's
that he
been
needs that, or is that just how he's always
but
done
it
it, and we never seen him have to
right,
do it in the middle of battle?
that's what I mean is like it seems that, he needs this like more traditional route of like, okay, I need a
Sure.
minute, I need to,
Sure. Maybe.
forge, like he's a
Yeah.
forge master. But yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like it was very
Definitely
cool that like
cool.
Isaac could do it like
Yeah.
mid battle,
For
Mhm.
sure.
but
Yeah.
also
Oh yeah.
like, wow, very convenient that you can do that.
True. True.
I am. I think that Hector is going to be the big comeback story because there is a game based where
Sure.
you play as Hector. We know he
Hmm.
becomes or in the game world, anyways, he's a good character that is not so pathetic. And
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think it'd be a really dramatic and interesting arc if he really does mature. He
Hmm.
Hmm.
stops being so naive and he's able
Hmm.
to like he's due for a
So he's
comeback
easily
story.
manipulated. So he's got to
Yes.
like stop that probably.
Yep. Yeah,
Like
probably.
he's a sucker for a pat on the head and like a pretty face.
Yep.
Like because of
Mhm.
his, it's like
Yep.
Right.
get it together, man. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, first Carmilla
effectively,
and then Lenore.
Yeah.
right? Like I would. objectively easily also being manipulated by Lenore. Like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, I know she's a hard
So is she your favorite character, Phil?
so yes. Yeah, she was like doing it for me.
She's cool.
Just
She's
like
Nice.
I like that. Yeah. It's just like, I Hector, you poor bastard, you didn't have a chance. Honestly, right?
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he forget too, he also fell for Dracula in a different way. But yeah, he's always a
True.
fall. He's
Yeah.
always following in this way. He
Right.
always, is taking what
Right.
these people are saying to him as at face value.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
maybe that's your. I mean, I know you're doing a la carte, but maybe Dana and you. I mean, maybe you have a Hector and
Lenore
Maybe.
vibe.
yeah.
Maybe, now, yeah, maybe I'll have to talk to her about that. That's certainly something, yeah, that can happen in a world.
So I'm assuming that there's going to be a season 4. I mean, it's pretty much been all
Yeah,
but
yeah, I
officially
can't imagine it would
confirmed.
be. Right.
So is like the Hector Lenore storylines the thing that you're most looking forward to in season 4? Are you kind of interested to see what else might happen? Where
Yeah.
Carmilla's Council of Sisters, like, and their idea of penning up the human race, like, where's that going? You
Right,
know?
right. I mean, I think we'll have at least. I won't be surprised if we had like at least one more like transition season building to like
Hmm.
another big Dracula. Like if we had another season and then maybe
Sure.
the season after that was the big climactic season. Like
Hmm.
because I think Dracula dying left such a big power vacuum, but it takes time for those like different groups to sort of like coalesce power. Like you got like Isaac's doing it, building his army. You got the Council of Sisters like consolidating their power, and possibly other powerful vampires out there we don't even know yet. And
Sure.
I think the storylines are going to kind of coalesce together. Um, yeah, I mean, there's still, even with all the new characters, I think they're still really like focused on those 4 storylines. You got
Hmm.
Alucard storyline, you got the Council of Sisters storyline or Carmilla storyline, Hector storyline. It's now kind of merged. You got Isaac's
Right.
storyline. You have Trevor and Sophia's storyline. So I mean, those are like the main 4 storylines, and like all the other ones are offshoots of those main 4.
Sure.
And I think there's going to leave those 4. I mean, it's going to be, and then maybe if Dracula comes back at some point, that could certainly, I wouldn't be surprised, and they add his back in. So,
Do you want him to
lots
come
of
back? I feel like there's
I,
varying like reactions to like him coming back. So
I'm fine without him because, like,
okay.
I think if he did, he'd be a more interesting character. He's one of my least favorite characters from the first couple seasons because he's just like brooding 24/7, and it's like
Sure.
you can handle any more brooding, dude. So if he
Sure.
came back, I think he would be like different because he was with his wife in the
Right.
afterlife. Like, so they've
Right.
obviously been able to spend some quality catching up. So maybe he's less like aggrieved if
Yeah.
he comes back. Come back, I'd be fine with it too because I like how things are going with him too. So
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't really see where his character could go. And I was sort of like thinking if he does come back, I hope he comes back with his wife because otherwise, like, I don't really
yeah,
know that there's like a next journey for him. Like if he's separated from her
right,
again, it's just like, okay, well, I've already seen this and I've already seen how pissed you are.
mhm,
So,
right.
maybe come back
And
with
if
her
he,
and see where we could go and
right,
maybe Alucard finally gets some parents and some love.
yeah. I was just gonna say, if he did come back with his wife, I could see them more aligning with like the, Alucard,
Hmm.
Trevor, Sifia, who I also think like Saint Germain might at some point like. I could see him
Get back
like
there.
becoming like that core group of like good guys fighting against
Sure.
like
If he ever gets
Isaac
out of
on one
the
end
infinite corridor.
and Hector on the other. Hector and the Council of Sisters, right? Well, I'm assuming he will
Sure.
at some point, but
Well, my theory is that we're gonna get this next season that will conclude largely these 4 groups is like this big battle, and
Mhm.
these
Mhm.
armies that will meet. Um, and then we'll get a tease at the end with Saint Germain and dealing with bringing in the Devil May Cry universe,
Mm,
because the creator bought the rights to Devil May Cry, and there's a
mm,
lot of talk about making a multiverse, basically. I'm really worried about this, but I do think it's going to happen.
Okay.
And
mm,
so you'll use that infinite corridor so you can tie in any universe you want. This guy can buy whatever
mm.
shows he wants. He doesn't want Hollywood
True.
to muck up, and he can tie them
Right.
all together. So then we'd have a fifth season that potentially would involve Devil May
Mm.
Cry characters. Maybe
Mm,
maybe Hector becomes something more valuable there, or maybe they skip ahead 100 years and Dracula does come back, because Dracula, they could bring him back, but traditionally it's like every 100 years or something. So then
mm,
it's a new generation of vampire. That's why the Belmont family
mm,
has to keep going and
Mhm.
keep
mm,
passing on this knowledge and stuff, because evil
mm.
returns. And so every
Sure.
Right.
generation they have the evil to push back again. And so
Mhm,
I think it'd be fun. I don't think they'll bring Dracula back unless
mm.
they do that. And if they
Okay.
do that, I think they'll take a break. I think they'll like pause,
Yeah.
do
Pause for the
that.
cause. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
So it won't
Yeah,
be
I can see
Trevor
that.
and Sypha defeating
Right,
Dracula again. It'll be,
right.
their child or whatever. So,
I see. Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of series that if they do it right and they pace it right, they could continue this on for several years. I mean, they could do as
Yep.
many seasons as they remain popular and well
Yep.
done. And if they do it well and like the good storyline and put the care and attention they've crafted into the season 3, then it'll continue to have a huge following, I imagine,
Yep.
and be really popular.
Absolutely.
So
Cool.
cool.
Well, it
Good,
was
guys. I got
really
to bounce. But thanks for having me on.
yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
we, there's always a lot more to talk about with Castlevania, but kind of
Absolutely.
went
I have
over,
a bunch
got
of
some
things I
thoughts.
wanted to say, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get to them, unfortunately. But I'd be happy to come on if you guys decide I wasn't
Well,
a terrible caster.
we'll see
Yeah,
what our thousands of listeners and viewers say. We'll see what their
me too.
response
Right.
is.
For
We'll put out a
sure. For
Twitter
sure.
poll. How was that Phil guy?
Oh,
They're
yeah, there
obviously
you
going to love
go.
me. Right.
And
They're
so,
going to be like, well, we didn't really enunciate at all. So we didn't understand
understand what he's
anything he
saying.
said. But we didn't like him at
Okay.
all, actually.
Okay.
He hates
Okay.
Harry
Probably. That's my
Potter,
guess.
so of course he's
Yeah,
gonna
That's it.
that's gonna
Yeah,
be
and
the
I
talking
really trashed
point.
Harry Potter. I had some like very you know concrete views. I will say, like
Mhm.
not some people might not like that.
Yep.
Be bold, Phil.
Everyone knows I'm an edgy guy,
Yeah, edgy and
Edgy Phil.
dramatic.
like
That's what I,
edgy and
yeah.
dramatic. Like
Yep.
that's my thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in this week. And
Yeah,
thanks
thanks,
to
Phil,
Phil
for
for
joining
joining
us.
us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks
And
for having us. Thanks for having me again.
see you next week.